crab is constantly growing inside of the shell. What I'm doing is injecting various formulas of growth hormone into the crab.
And what is this? Your answer to world hunger?
Don't laugh, it may be.
At 6 this morning, a full alert went into effect here at the power plant. All indications were that a nuclear accident had taken place. However, company officials assure us that it was a false alarm.
My God.
I think we have to get out of here. Dr. McNeil, could this be a result of your research?
Maybe.
John? Is that you? Oh, God, no!
It could happen. Island Clause. Coming to the Drive-In Asylum double feature next weekend when our guest host will be Jen Upton.
Yeah. I'm excited for that.
And Spasms, too. The other one.
Man.
I love Spasms.
Yeah. I'm excited for next week. Those are two. Jen always likes the animal out of control movies, which is good.
She does, like Shakma.
Yeah.
She wrote that one.
Shakma the monkey. Looks like we have a divided room on Mill of the Stone Woman, though. Some people like it. Some people thought it was a little slow.
I think it's so juicy. It is juicy.
I heard a rumor that you are looking to buy a house like the Mill of the Stone Women house.
Mm-hmm. I want the whole windmill thing, but I really don't want the stone women. I do want a dark ride in my house, though, because that's basically what she had there, or what they had, as if it were just a normal part of anybody's house.
Yeah. I think you're going to have to hire on the same lady, though, even though she's a little mean. But it seems like she's good at keeping ahead of a lot of the cobwebs that seem to grow within the house.
Yeah, I like the part where someone asked her if she put a flower there, a fresh flower, and she's like, "Bitch, I got too much on my hands cleaning this place to go pick fresh flowers."
Yeah. She's like, "I got so much to do."
She didn't quite say it like that, but that's what she meant.
Yeah. There's we had some questions ourselves as we were talking about it. How much does Elfie know? And I think we kind of decided that she knows quite a bunch.
She is not an innocent.
Yeah. She kind of realizes a lot. And King Blood brings up there was a nipple slip. I also didn't realize we realized by the end of the movie that Alfie is in a couple of the outfits, you don't realize how endowed she is. And then later when she's in that blue outfit, you're like, God.
It is pretty outrageous. But how is it that I noticed the nipple slip and you didn't?
My wife was still awake, so I didn't be like, wow, like I didn't yell.
That was an interesting turn of events. Anyway, it wasn't like a full on boob shot. It was just like a little peek of areola, I think.
Yeah.
It was daring. I'm not saying it wasn't daring because this was 1960, right?
Yeah. I like that. 1960. And I also like that, like that one woman loses her mind when she sees the one hanged body. Like, it's like, she just like starts screaming. And it's like, ugh.
The tongue.
I was thinking though, that when this came out in 1960, the scene when Elfie dies for the first time, and the blood's coming out of her mouth near the mirror, that probably had to shock a few people because it was in color and her face started bruising and aging immediately. I thought maybe some people would think that was pretty cool back then.
Yeah, that was pretty disturbing.
Yeah.
I
like that he checked to see if she was he did the old mirror trick to see if she was still alive.
Why did he carry her in there in the first place? I mean, that's the worst thing you can do, especially the way she died. She just kind of fell over. So she could have, like, broken something, and he just picks up her body and drags it in the other room and throws it in bed. This movie was full of reprehensible people. How do they think
Yeah.
it's okay to kidnap people against their will, rob them of their autonomy, and just basically murder them by taking all their blood just so this woman can live? It's bullshit. I was
And that poor
furious.
girl's head just fell off.
Why?
I agree with Sean. This would have been a good 3D movie,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
especially the way that the dark ride worked, where the different like flat
It's
things were coming back and
beautifully
forth.
shot, this whole
Yeah.
film.
I also really dig that it has a total hammer ending, where of course the mill has to burn down. But as I was saying to Bill, as they're leaving, like the rest of the town has to be like, that was the only thing that brought money to our town, and you guys just burned it. And he's like, yeah, but they were going to kill my girlfriend. They're like, yeah, but for there's like 2,000 people in this town, and you've doomed them all to famine now because now we have nothing.
Yeah.
Now who's going to come to drink beer out of boots now?
Well, their only other option was they didn't understand that they were living under this tyranny, but women
Yeah,
were being abducted from that. How many people could have lived in that village? 100? And there's
yeah.
women disappearing.
Do you think they're like, you know what though? Is it worth it to have this tourist trade where we can fill our boots with beer and sell them to rich people? Is that I don't know. I'm not saying it's a decision we all have to make on some level in our lives.
It was a trade-off.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
A lot of people that didn't like it. Like Daryl's been very down on this, but I like this movie. I'm not going to take it personally. I promise.
No, we don't care if
I
you liked it or not, just as
yeah
we did.
yeah
I
yeah
really like this movie a lot. I like it
yeah
more and more every time I see it because it's one of those things. Like I said, I didn't see it on TV as a kid, so this sort of escaped me. I For a long time I thought this was an MST3K film, and
yeah.
obviously I think I'm wrong. Anyway, maybe the Riff Tracks guys did it. I don't
I'm
know.
sure they probably did. They've done almost everything now. They've hit so many. Uh, but I actually was reading why new MST3K is not as good as the old guys in Rift, and it was like the deepest conversation. I was like, oh
Yeah.
boy, yeah. I'm like, these guys. I
Oh,
don't know.
whatever. That I I
Yeah,
I'm I think the phrase "so bad it's good" is so deeply offensive, but I guess they are bringing attention to movies.
oh, I think there's certain movies like Manos, The Hands of Fate would have never been seen if it wasn't for them. You know what I mean? Like they literally found that movie in a box. So I mean, those kind of things are good when that happens. On the other hand, there are some movies like Danger Diabolic that don't need Rift, but my opinion, I'm sure other people think that
Oh,
movie's stupid.
what monsters could have done that?
I I would like to see more movies set in this town. This really feels like you could remake this movie and make it really even wilder. Um, I would have liked to have seen, like 10 years later, in Italy, if they had made this, it would have had a lot more nudity and the what is only hinted at is jeez. What is only hinted at is incest would have been really hammered home.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There was some kinky shit going on in this movie. The way he was petting her hair at the end, I was
Yeah.
like, ew, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Not to mention he very stupidly killed the guy who was going to save her life.
Yeah. He should have been
Duh.
like, "Oh yeah, you can have her," and then kill him after. Like she obviously doesn't have any interest in him. She's picking up every young art critic that comes to town.
I agree. It was pretty gruesome, especially the way, I mean, it didn't have to look realistic. I just thought the suggestion that her head came off and he was holding her head like that was pretty nauseating, even for such a simple gag as the way that head fell off.
Yeah. Though it was memorable enough that it ended up on the poster. So I'm sure people were like, "Oh, finally the head fell off. That's why we came here." Fight nice in the comments, please. Thank you.
I think These kinds of movies are always my jam anyway, because it's like this little isolated pocket of people totally behaving loony. And
Yeah.
like we were talking about, she is in on it. She loves it because there's that one part where
Yeah.
she's tormenting the woman that's going to be giving her all of her blood to her. She knows.
What an incredible irony that the guy that she's fucking with, his girlfriend, is the only person who has the perfect blood type to keep her alive forever. Do you know what I mean? Like
They didn't seem to be.
only in
They weren't concerned about the blood type, were they? I was watching for
it's
that.
like she had whatever she had in her body. The main guy's girlfriend is exactly she would that's why it would be like the perfect thing for it.
Yeah, it's always the last time. This is the last time we're going to do the operation, but we've seen Mansion of the Doomed. We know that the operations will never end.
I would like Peter Cushing and all these different doctors, the doctor from Eyes Without a Face, this doctor, all to get together. Do you know what I mean? And all just go to the pub together and say, "Where did you go wrong?" And it's like, well, at what point they should have a support group. And like, at what point did you say, I'm killing people for pleasure and not to help my daughter or my wife or whoever
Yeah.
I'm trying to get the pineal glands for?
They're saying
Adam
it's a
Age
fine
Vampire.
line. They like doing it. They're into the
I
killing.
think I think Adam Age Vampire is the main nexus point for this build because of our loves, where it's like it's a vampire that's not a vampire, and it's also an Eyes Without a Face ripoff. If it had a troublesome trans character, it would be everything that we show on the
I
show.
know. This seems to be like the another thing that we're attracted to is the whole gender switch thing.
Yeah, but this also has wax museum, which we've shown a couple of those where at the end you realize what's the one that we showed with AC Nicholas where there was fire that burned all the wax characters at the end.
Oh, behind locked doors.
Yeah, behind locked doors. Like so that's another thing that we share a lot of. But you know what? We like what we like. And next week we'll show animal attacks.
Yeah, it's been a while since we had any animal attack movies on.
Yeah. So I'm all for that.
Me too. I fully support it. I'm here for it, as the kids were saying a couple years ago.
They're saying it now still too. I have so many problems with the way kids talk online, but I don't want to seem like I'm old man yelling at the cloud.
Oh, I
So
know. I
yeah.
lost track somewhere there. I don't understand people anymore.
No, if anyone ever says it slaps to me, I'm just like, I don't like it. Speaking of cool things, I'm glad Danger Dave came back to do another segment. So it was pretty fun.
I was ready to keel over just watching it. The balance.
Oh, I know. My body hurts all the time from wrestling. I can't even imagine how those guys feel from some of the stuff they've done.
He's done the Rollabola thing before, but now there's like an extra layer. It keeps getting bigger and bigger.
He keeps adding more levels of danger to these things. I mean, it is his first name. Danger's not his middle name. It's literally his first name.
The thing that really started to freak me out was when he had to use that cane to get up there. I was like, that's how he's going to get up there.
He's kind of like my grandma. My grandmother was not a stunt show performer, but could have been. She used to she would like tightrope walk on the back of her couch to like vacuum her drapes, and she fell through like 3 different tables. And we kept saying to her like, "You can't. You're gonna get killed doing this." And she's like, "I'll be fine." And like my mom took her to get a CAT scan, and there's all these like spots on her brain, and the doctor's like, "You're a horrible daughter because you let your mother fall like this all the time." She's like, "I can't stop her. She's crazy."
What do they want her to do? Put her on a leash or something?
God, I don't even know. So, yeah. Anyways, you should show the pictures of Stephanie again now that we have the sound running correctly. That might be a good idea.
Okay. Why don't we?
Yeah, this is really cool. I'm so excited because I know that I am really jealous that people got to go to this in Chicago, but that Sergio Martino was in the U.S. to show a few of his movies, and like he is, I would say, the number 1 or 2 giallo director of all time. I would say number 1, but
I know you
There he
would.
is right there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there he is.
But I think most people would put him in their top 2 or 3, and there he is, at the Music Box in Chicago, which is super exciting.
With our
With
friend
Stephanie, who's
Stephanie
who's
Sack, who you've seen on the show before, and she arranged this whole screening, and it was pretty awesome by the look of it. I'm
Yeah.
very, very jealous that we couldn't go. But
Yeah, Martino's my favorite Giallo is Strange Vice of
yes,
Mrs. Ward, so and I think the difference is, like, he is the best storyteller in Giallo, and Argento made the most exciting looking movies in Giallo, so they're both equally great. But his movies definitely have more of a storytelling aspect to them that's a little different. I think Lindsay, is up there too, though, so those are probably my top 3.
Lindsay. That's the one that I always have a problem with Lindsay's stuff.
Go
I
back and
don't
watch the
like it
Carol
all that
Baker ones,
much.
The Carol Baker ones are real good. Don't judge them just because of eyeball. Go back and watch the Carol Baker ones.
Yeah,
Those are
I've only
the
seen like one of those, so I need to go back and
yeah.
finish.
Oh, they're wonderful.
There was that beautiful box set that just came out recently, a couple of years
I
ago.
know. I gotta buy it. I don't know why I haven't bought it.
Do you find
I
yourself whenever people say, "Oh, talk about something that happened recently," you start thinking of COVID? Like,
yeah.
I'm still there. I'm still there.
Someone said that the other day, like the mindset shift from 2020 to 2024 is like 6 months, but it's been 4 years.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like the time compression and stuff is
it
really
seems like
crazy.
yesterday.
I I am aware of time based on movies because I know you're the same way. When I was a kid in TV Guide, I would always add in my head like, "Oh, this movie is 5 years old. This movie is 4 years old." And now, like, when I look at stuff, I'm like, I just started entering some of the first 2024 movies onto the blog in the last couple weeks, and I'm like, man, there's stuff that came out in 2019 that I still think of as like a new movie I haven't got to yet. Do you know what I mean? And it's
It's
like, oh no,
5
that's
years
5 years
ago.
old. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like, oh
crazy. Wow.
yeah, but yeah. Hey, here's what came in the mail this week. How about that? I got the Shaolin Plot from Arrow. That's exciting. And Fear is the Key. These are 2 new ones from Arrow.
Oh, Fear is the Key.
Mhm.
No, I'm thinking of Fear in the Night. They did that at the drive-in.
Yeah. This is from Cleopatra Records. I know Bill loves when I get stuff from Cleopatra. This is The Black Mass, which has I don't want to reveal the big reveal of it, but it's a pretty cool movie. This movie's got tons of a really great cast of like slasher final girl kind of people in it. It's got Lisa Wilcox, Susan Lanier, uh, Kathleen Kinmont. It's got some pretty cool people in it, and it's actually really good. I saw it at Fantastic Fest. And last but certainly not least is this amazing MVD set for joysticks, which looks like an Activision game and comes with a poster. It's really, really nice. And yeah.
Right on.
Yeah. So
That
yeah, I'm really
Activision
excited.
stuff, like just seeing something
Oh,
like that really triggers something good for me.
yeah.
That was like the sweet spot was the Atari games, and then it's now there's this other kind you can get Activision. Remember when
Yeah.
everyone tried to do their own system?
Oh, yeah. I had a Vectrex, which is the weirdest
Oh
system,
my
which is
god,
the
I wanted Vectrex so much because they had Tempest.
yeah, I got it for $50 on clearance at a toy store, and all the games were like $5. And it is really, really cool. Um Daryl, it is not Pinball Summer. That's a Pickup Summer is Pinball Summer. But joysticks is a little different. But it's still cool. It's got John Grease in it as King Vidiot, which is pretty cool, and Joe Don Baker.
Pinball Summer. That's a
But yeah, the you know what other game is on Vectrex, which is why I got it, is Star Castle. Do you remember that Vector game?
no.
Oh, it's really cool. There's like it's one of those games where there's like a large thing in the center of the play field, and you have to like knock the walls out of it and get into it. It's kind of like an opposite version of Asteroids. It's really cool.
No,
So
I had no idea.
yeah, it's pretty fun.
But Vectrex
Vectrex
was
also
so,
had a
but it had its own sort of like, it was a self-contained unit, wasn't it?
yeah, yeah, it was like its own monitor, a vector monitor. It had a light pen too that lets you draw on screen, and then it had 3D goggles, which was pretty cool. Yeah, it had Tank Commander. Chris also came out for that system. There was a game called Spike, which was the first um, home game that had speech. It had like sampled speech within it, and then it also had there was a football game called Blitz that had just X's and O's, but it was really fun. It actually had stats for the game. It was one of the first football games that did stats. So there were a lot of cool games for Vectrex. But yeah, ColecoVision was the other big system.
Yeah,
We got it. That was another big system.
we have one, and my ColecoVision is so close I can put my hand on it.
Ah,
I'm touching my ColecoVision right now. I play ColecoVision all the time still, and I have the adapter so I can play Atari games too.
oh man, I had my favorite Coleco game was Rocky because you had the special sports controller for some of the
Yeah.
sports games.
Oh yeah. I don't
Yeah.
really have any of that stuff. Like there was the turbo driving
Hmm.
wheel. I don't know. I
Oh
wasn't
yeah,
into that, so I don't think I had
yeah.
that. I might even
There
have it
was
in the basement. I don't know.
when Fisher's Big Wheel was still in business. It was a like a Kmart kind of store in Elwood City. There's like a
We had
couple.
that.
You had that, yeah. When they did a clearance on their Coleco stuff, so they were clearancing the games out for like $2 to $5. So I had some really weird games. The weirdest game I had was Wizard of Id Math. It was the newspaper strip Wizard of Id teaches you math. It was the like who would like that game other than me? And then I was really into that game Venture. You remember that game? That
Oh,
was like a
Venture. I
dungeon crawler.
love
Yeah.
Venture.
Yeah, that was a great game.
I just, I remember playing that in the arcade and I wasn't good enough to get
Yeah.
very far. And I just kept
Yeah.
thinking, like, how far will this game go? How many
Oh
levels
yeah.
are there and how many different rooms can you go into?
Today when you look at it, it's like, it's not really that graphically intense, but
No.
back then it was like, wow, this game is amazing looking. Like it's so cool.
The
And
the thing about Venture was like it changed your perspective on you. Like when you were inside a room, you were a bigger avatar, but then you'd
yeah.
go into the hallway and you were just this teeny little dot, and monsters could get you there. So you had to really like pay attention to where you were. That was kind of
Yeah.
interesting.
We had that, and then my brother and I were just talking about it. It's funny. We were just talking about the time shift of 2020 to 2024. Like, we didn't realize that, like, the time there's a great doc about, the history of video games that my brother and I were watching. I can't remember which one it was, but, I think it was one of the Toys That Made Us shows, and, it's really wild that, like, the Nintendo and the space between the Nintendo and the Atari is only, like, 18 months,
Hmm.
like, because they kept making Atari so late. So, like but to me, as a kid, it felt like 10 years because, there was this whole period where my dad was like, "Oh, there's no way I'm buying you guys a Nintendo because you had an Atari and now you don't play it anymore." And I don't think he understood, like, the seismic shift that Nintendo was going to
Oh,
be, you know?
well,
And, like, so finally,
parents
we
don't
end
get
up
it.
getting one we got one ourselves, and I remember when he saw Zelda, he was like, "This is completely different, like, this is, like, a whole world. Like, this is, like, not just 1 or 2 screens." He's like, "This is crazy." So, that's kinda cool. And now, I mean, just look how deep games are now. They're whole world like, alternate worlds pretty much.
One of my favorite ColecoVision games was Moon Patrol,
Oh, I love that game, yeah.
where you're the moon buggy and you have to like jump over craters.
It's crazy when you think about it, like I was thinking when we were talking about Activision because like Laser Blast came out and that flipped your perspective because you were suddenly the spaceships in Space Invaders. Do you know what I mean? Instead
Hmm.
of and like Moon Patrol flipped my perspective in games because not only did you have to shoot things, but you had to make sure you could jump over those craters and
God.
you had to hit all these different things and it was like there's a lot to do. And it's like even today that game's like super deep. Another game I loved was you remember Stampede, the Activision game where you had to rope the you're like a cowboy and you had to like rope in the
I never played that one, I don't think.
oh. Did you get any of the patches for your Activision games?
Yeah. You had to
Oh,
take a
what a
picture of the TV screen, send away
yeah.
for it. I had Pitfall. Of course, that was like I think
Yeah.
one of the first ones where you could do that, and a couple other ones. I had the like a monthly magazine, Atari Age.
Yeah.
Did you get that?
Oh yeah, yeah. Of course. Look what a geek I am. Yeah. I was so excited about uh just whatever new games were coming out, and got all the magazines, and like I was just obsessed with it because I mean I think a lot of people were, but like I had all those books of like the Pac-Man patterns, like learn how to do the
Oh yeah,
patterns in the arcade, and that
Ms.
was like
Pac-Man is
yeah,
that's my jam. Like I'm not really all that great at Pac-Man, but Ms. Pac-Man I can play for hours. It was because of that book that taught you the patterns.
yeah,
You just go in there and people would get annoyed with you once you could do it. 'Cause they're like, "Oh, he's never gonna be done."
yeah, and it's funny because like once you get, did you have kids come up and slap quarters on the machine to
Yes.
let you know they were next?
Yeah, like
Yeah,
dibs. Like, "No, I
yeah.
have 2 more credits on here. You wait."
There was an arcade called the Game Trek in Elwood City. There were two of them, one in Newcastle and one in Elwood. And for a while, they would give you 10 quarters for every 10 tokens, sorry, for every A you got on your report card. And then they realized that only the geeky kids came there, so they were just losing money. So they're like, okay, maximum of 10 free tokens. You're not going to get 60 when you come in like last time. But they had like the craziest games. They had like Cliffhanger, which was a laser disc game. They had Satan's Hollow, which is an awesome game. Uh, just like so many, it was wild to me that there was video games were so big at that point that there were arcades in towns as small as like 6,000 person Elwood City. That
Oh,
there was like
yeah.
a full arcade there.
Well, I
There were
don't
like
know. Did it ever
there were two
really
or three.
it started out as something you would do at the bowling alley,
Yeah.
like in the '70s, I remember. My dad went bowling all the time, and I went with him whenever he'd offer because not for the bowling, but for the arcade. And the only things they had in there were like, the really old school, like the air hockey thing. And they had that submarine game, like where you had to put your
Yeah.
face up on it and you would like fire things.
Radar Scope or whatever those
It
were.
was like
Yeah.
Space Invaders, basically. And then they actually had Space Invaders. That was like the early 80s, I guess, or the late 70s, even 78, 79.
Yeah. I love that pre video game arcade games. There were like, like the baseball games and like the different, do you know what I mean, where they had like actual working parts within them. Like those things. They always
Yeah.
had like the astrology thing. They had like the hand with all the stuff in it. And you like got the, do you ever play those ones where you got the little scroll that
Yeah.
came out and it had your thing in it? I was obsessed by that.
I was really mad when they stopped doing that. Like the astrology machines would just be like nothing. You didn't get to walk away with anything,
Oh,
and there was no
yeah,
lady in it that went. "Er."
those were the coolest things. Bill, James Drummond asked, was that Harmer Lanes where you played video games?
No, Harmer Lanes. That was much later. The place I'm thinking of was in the in Natrona Heights. There used to be a
Mm,
bowling alley there. There was like a Howard Johnson's and a couple other things that went out with the '70s. One of them was a bowling alley that I think was there for many years, and
mm.
it was near the Fisher's Big Wheel.
Oh, I have a Fisher's Big Wheel shirt. I'll have to wear it on the show some week. Becca bought for me because I always talk about Fisher's. That's where I have a house on the edge of the park beta that came from Fisher's Big Wheel, which blows my mind that Fisher's sold House on the Edge of the Park, and it says
Mm.
featuring David Hess. Like who in Elwood City that was like, oh, David Hess is in this? Yes, I know who that is. But there was
He was in the
somebody was
movie
excited.
Hitchhike.
I love Hitchhike. Two other movies by that director are on the site this week, Bill.
Oh
This
yeah,
this
I
the next
noticed
two
that. I think that's what had Hitchhike on the brain for me.
the next 2 weeks on the site are all Film Venture International movies. So I went deep and found especially a lot of their Italian stuff that I had not seen, like X-Rated Girl, which is not X-rated, but it's pretty funny. Um, and they did
That's
Boot
not
Hill.
fair.
Yeah, it's the weirdest movie because it's a movie about a guy that likes showing his wife off, which is not something you usually see in sex comedies. And he becomes more popular as a sell it cello player the more people see his wife nude. Uh, so it's a very strange movie. But yeah, it's from 1970. Uh, but yeah, I'm not just the expected FBI stuff. The stuff that Great White and
Oh yeah,
Beyond the Door. Yeah, I
absolutely.
mean, there. It's crazy because as I talked about, it'll be on the site in the next 2 weeks. But like, they got the rights to Marooned doing that trick, which is a movie that won an Oscar for special effects by doing that trick of like putting their own credits on it. This still blows my mind to this day. Like, I can't believe
It just doesn't seem like
uh,
anybody could get away with something like that.
it's if you think about it, like the VHS days were kind of the Wild West because people weren't sure of on rights on stuff. So and so stuff came out, and sometimes if they got a cease and desist, well, they already shipped 6,000 or 10,000 copies. Do you know what I mean? So at that point, they weren't going to come off the shelves unless they were a Tracy Lords movie. So
Ooh,
today was all Tracy Lords day on the site. So a lot of PM Entertainment Tracy Lords movies. So,
I
but
loved her
back to
album, 1000
Thousand
Fires.
Fire. I just listened to it today while I was writing these. I
Did you
really like that
really?
record. Yeah, I really like that record.
I love that album. There's 3 Thompson Twins songs on it.
I really like
Did
it
you know
because it's
that?
no, I didn't know that, and it's
Yeah.
way better than you would expect it to be. It's not like a speaking. You and I were talking about vanity projects. It's not a vanity project. It's actually a really good record.
Oh, I know. Yeah, it's just a good album.
Yeah,
The one of the ones she did with the Thompson Twins is that weird one where she's like talking about being raped by a
yeah,
dude when she was really young, and a couple other ones too. And then Juno Reactor is
yeah.
the one that did Control. I had a Tracy Lords Control mouse pad back when you had to
Oh,
have a
that's
mouse pad.
amazing. Yeah, I love her. The movie Ice is pretty good. There's a couple that I put up on the site that are all pretty decent. She was the right person to be in direct to video movies because she had name recognition and she was going to make
Yeah.
them cheaply, but she was very invested in the films that she's in. The other thing I was going to say, sorry to go backwards, to video games. One of the things I loved about because I saw someone talking about arcade rooms at the mall. I Today there are still a lot of malls have arcades, and Washington Crown Center just opened a game store and arcade down there. But today, like when there's an arcade at a mall, it's just in like a very nondescript kind of place. I don't know if you had any Aladdin's castles around you or any ones like that where like the whole outside of Aladdin's castle looked like a foam castle that you were walking into at the mall. Like, you were leaving the mall experience and walking down this drawbridge into an arcade, and it was such a cool thing.
I think the only thing that we had was Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah.
Because there was, during the height of the video game thing in the 80s, that was the other thing you went in there for. Like, there were older kids that would go in there just to go in the arcade.
Yeah. Youngstown had a Chuck E. Cheese, a Showbiz Pizza, and the mall had a full freestanding arcade. And then there was another, the next outside shopping plaza had a huge pizza place arcade that was like 2 storefronts big. So there were so many, and Camelot Lanes, which is still open. It's like a giant castle, looks like a castle, and you bowl in there. And they had tons of video games there too. It was pretty awesome.
I still remember all those sounds. Someone brought up Defender earlier,
Oh,
and Defender had the most awesome sounds. You hear them now, and they're obnoxious. Like I used to have, I have all these sounds on my phone where I can make notifications like old arcade things. And I chose all these Defender ones, and then I realized how obnoxious they were, and my phone kept going like, so I had to change to something
I
more
like the little people you had to
casual.
rescue
Yeah.
in Defender.
Oh my
It's
God.
funny because those games don't really have a storyline, but in your head you invented a storyline.
Did
And
you? I
Defender,
didn't.
I did. Defender had so many buttons because the joystick only went up and down,
Yeah.
and then you had the thrust. It's funny that like
Smart
games like
bomb.
that, smart, the games like that in Joust like don't have a lot of motion. You have to like to move up in Joust, you have to hammer that flat button to get up. Do you know what I mean?
That's how they challenge you, man. You got to learn
Yeah,
something new.
yeah. But it was cool. Like I loved those. What a time to be alive to get to go to arcades, and there was always something new. and and play them, and then I don't know. There's still a few left, but not like it was when we were kids. Like where there were video games were everywhere. They were in grocery stores, and they were in. Now we have slot machines in all our grocery stores in Minocqua. Our Foodland has 2 slot machines in it, which is pretty wild.
Not poker machines, slot machines.
No, straight up slot machines, yeah. And our 7-Eleven does too, which is 24-hour. There's a couple 24-hour places now on the main street that have skill games, as they call them.
You know what game I loved for the sounds also was Marble Madness.
Oh,
do you remember that
what
one?
What a beautiful looking game, huh?
And it's just the sounds and the soundtrack, the sounds that would make when you would reach the safe zone. It's like you can imagine hearing those sounds when you're completely out of your mind on morphine as you're dying in the hospital.
Oh yeah.
I love that game.
Yeah.
The blobs that would eat your marble. I want to move.
And they're always like there's kind of hidden stuff too, where if you rolled into different sections, you got to skip ahead levels and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I played a lot of that game. Trackball games always hurt my hand though. Do you know what I mean? Like that, and Centipede is another one.
Yeah. I wasn't crazy about Centipede. I couldn't do the trackball. There was something about the controlling, but Millipede, the sequel, I was really good at Millipede. So they must have done something different with the trackball.
I think they got tighter with the controls on it. So it's funny because I know the 7-Eleven that I grew up in my town was like 2.5 miles away. So like my brother and I would get up early every day and like skateboard over there, and then they would only have 2 games. So like we would both have to figure out which one we wanted to play, and then we would spend like half the day there, and then rent something, and then skateboard back. What a summer to be 12 and that's your only responsibility.
When you could ride your bike to a place like that without any kind of parental guidance.
Oh.
And you would go down there. We had a pizza place in Springdale called Daddy-O's Pizza, and they had a whole arcade room in there. It was just like a couple pinball machines and a couple video games. Like they had Wizard of War. Remember that one?
I love that game.
Yeah,
it's like awesome. It's cool that it's like science fiction against fantasy. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, they had a whole row of pinball machines, and one day we discovered that one of the pinball machines, the door was broken on it, and it was full of quarters. So we just spent all day in there putting that money back into those machines. It was fun. We were good kids, you know.
Oh, that's awesome.
Kind of.
Yeah, it was always like we would go to the Campfield Fair in Ohio, and it's like they always had like a tent with video games, and like my mom's like, we should walk around the fair and we should see stuff. My brother and I were like, well, yeah, but they got all these new video games we never played. That's way more exciting to us than.
Yeah, I went to the World's Fair in 1980, and that's all I cared about was they had a giant tent full of arcade games, and of course, nobody wanted to go in there because they were all adults.
Where was the World's Fair in 1980?
It was in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Oh wow, that's awesome. They still do World's Fairs? Like that was like a big deal, you know.
I don't even know. It wasn't a big deal to me then. I didn't. All I cared about was.
But it's like that's where like Disney, like that's where he started doing stuff before Disney World. I just watched a documentary about the New York World's Fair and Disney and how involved he was. And that's like was always like that's where people showed their new products or like their new inventions. I guess today we just do it on the internet with it, but you know. There's still like twin galaxies in these gigantic arcades that are still around, you know, and like there's been a lot of like bar arcades opening. I know there's one in the South Side. There's a couple in Cleveland. I went to one in Cleveland Heights before, and it's like I guess that's kind of cool. But like
there's one right down the street from where I work on 6th Street.
Oh really?
Yeah, there's a bar with a bunch of they have like Donkey Kong, Galaga, the biggies, you know, cool. Nothing too deep. No deep
Is Ace Amusements?
No Tutankhamun or Mr. Dew's Wild Ride.
Mr. Dew's Magic Castle is another.
Oh, I love that one. I had that for ColecoVision too, Mr. Dew's Castle.
Oh,
I could play that for hours. That music.
Is Ace Amusement still open on Smithfield?
I haven't been up there, and so I never go up
Oh,
that way because I don't know. I'm old. It takes a long time to walk up there, and then your lunch break's half gone.
yeah. Ryan and I used to go there when I went to Point Park, and we'd always just skip class sometimes and
Yeah.
just Ace Amusements.
Ryan and I
Is it
went to the, we would go to the Smithfield News.
Oh, yeah.
They always had a couple pinball machines back there. I can remember that, like, picking up Ryan in the dorms at, like, 12:30 at night, and we would go up because they were open all night.
Oh, yeah.
You could go in there and play
We went
pinball.
My brother and I used to before we moved to Pittsburgh, we used to take a bus in from Beaver Falls, and it was an hour and 45-minute to 2-hour bus ride. So we would get on the bus at, like, 4:45 and get to Pittsburgh at, like, right before 7 in the morning. Our classes weren't till 8. So we'd go to Smithfield News and play NBA Jam. Uh, so that was, like which is, like, $5 each a game, but that's what we would do, that was we still talk about it, like, that was like, "Wow, what a amazing time to be able to
I
play pinball."
know. I mean, I lived right down the street from there when I went to Point Park. We would walk up
Yeah.
there, my roommate and I, Mark, we would walk up there in the middle of the night and go play Black Knight 2000 pinball
Oh, yeah. That's a great game.
and the Twilight Zone. The Twilight
Yeah.
Zone's fucking amazing. That's one of my favorite tables.
I like when I don't know, Pittsburgh downtown doesn't feel the same when I've been there as it
It's
was in
not.
that time. No. I really liked it in the '90s. It was like there wasn't a lot there, but there was a couple fun places if you knew where to look.
Well, like the attitude is that that there was like an unsavory element in downtown because of how run down it was, and they turned
Yeah.
everything into like gleaming glass and superficially beautiful, but had no personality. And there's still an element in downtown Pittsburgh. You still get accosted by panhandlers and like people acting crazy. So nothing changed
Yeah.
except it's not as interesting anymore.
And it looks to some people nicer.
Not to me, it doesn't. It's just
No.
boring.
There's no George Aiken down there anymore.
No.
Yeah.
No GC Murphy.
No, that GC Murphy was one of the greatest places on earth. I loved that place. I spent so much time there.
Candy Rama.
There were 2 Candy Ramas. There was the one on the
Yeah.
other end. Oh,
Do you remember
yeah.
Total Woman? Total Woman was the store that had all the wig stands and that had like rainbow neon color wigs, and it was like a hooker store. But
And they used to have Warner Center used to have that whole food court upstairs that was really nice
yeah,
too.
I used to
Yeah.
go there all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, Total Woman. I totally forgot about that.
Total
There's
Woman.
a lot of wig stores too. Speaking
Total
of
Woman
downtown,
was a little. I mean, I hardly ever went in there. I didn't have a reason to, but wow, the stuff they put in the window was just crazy.
this is a whole reference for people that are from Pittsburgh. So if you're not, sorry. I'll try to make it make sense.
Yeah,
This is for
sorry we
Fillmore.
did this.
But did you know about Christoph's getting busted this week?
No.
You know Christoph's? Have you ever been there? The Greek restaurant?
Oh, Christos.
Christos, yeah, that's the name of it.
Yeah, no. Why did they get busted?
Like 11 different health violations.
Oh, well, that doesn't surprise me.
No, not at all. They were like rats, mice, roaches, a couple other things. But if you talk to that guy for longer than 2 seconds, he tells you about how he was Jackie O's
Yes.
personal chef, and he would make her a salad with bananas on it. And like, dude, come on.
Yeah, I had dinner there once, and I had to
Mhm.
use the bathroom, and there was no bathroom in there. You had to walk into a hallway that's like part of the whole building as a whole entity, and walk down into the basement.
Yeah.
And you had left the restaurant like a minute ago, and there was this like horror movie style basement down there, and you walked through the kitchen, and the same guy that took your order was in there cooking your shit that you
Oh yeah,
ordered.
100%.
It was
There's
really
also
strange.
there used to be that other Greek restaurant across the street from it that was like a bar, and then it had
Salonica.
like yeah, and I loved that place.
Oh,
That place
I
was
ate
really
in
good.
Salonica all the time. Salonica was
Yeah.
awesome too. Like if you go down there for first night, Salonica
Uh-huh.
was always like one of the places to be because it was warm. You could order food in there, and you could get booze.
Yeah. It used to be there used to be a pizza place there in the 90s because when I went to Art Institute, it was there, and I can't remember what the name of it was. Corleone's. That's what was there before, and
We used to get
it was
pizza from them when we were, but I don't think I ever went and got it.
yeah.
Someone else
Because I
always
remember
got
I
it.
went out. I remember that their jukebox had, in case you don't feel like showing up, in the jukebox, the Ministry
Oh
Live.
my God.
Because I would
Breathe.
always I would play Stigmata live, and like people would obviously get very upset.
Breathe is my favorite cut from that
Yeah,
one they opened with. It was pretty
yeah.
awesome.
Next week's movies. I saw a couple people asking. It's Spasms and Island Claws. Next week. James Drummond said, "What was the name of the gay bar downtown we used to go to for the best dance music ever, Bill? It was awesome in the late 80s, early 90s."
That was Pegasus.
I was going to say, that was my answer, but I didn't want to seem like, because that's the only one that I knew. Images and Pegasus were the two that I knew.
Yeah, Images, you can't dance there, though. Pegasus was the dance bar. Well, one of them. The other one was the Pittsburgh Eagle, where I DJ'd for 6 years.
Yeah.
Between 1997 and whatever. A long time ago.
Old Pittsburgh. You can just watch, what do you call it? Santa Claus, the John Russo movie, and see what Pittsburgh looked like in 1998, 1999. You can see what Market Square was like before it got all super nice.
Here's some ads we can look at before we go.
Yeah.
I just pulled these random from Rochester. Poor
Oh
Joan
my
Collins.
God. Poor Joan Collins. Poor Carolyn Monroe. Also in that. I love that weird hand with feet. How did they ever come up with that?
I don't know. I don't even know what it's supposed to represent. There's nothing like that in the movie.
No, they're like, hey, you know what? People Toys is a weird poster. What if we did something just as weird? You get it all that night. Oh. What's in the basket now? Isn't that a question or is that a statement?
Yeah, it sounds like something Helena Marcus would say.
What's in the
basket now, huh? What are you gonna pull out of the basket now?
This time he's not alone, all right?
Basket case 2. I don't know. I kind of like basket case better than basket case 2. What about you?
I like basket case 1 more than 2, but I don't have strong feelings. I like Brain Damage a lot too.
I don't remember basket case 3 all that well.
No, I haven't seen that one, so I'll have to watch it and report. Oh.
I'm a sucker for this one.
Oh my God. It used to only be a myth, Bill.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a minute. If it's at all true, then it was never a myth. For one thing.
If something lived 200 years or 199 years, right? And they're like, you know what? May its soul rot in hell. Like, wow.
Yeah, I mean, like that. It was doing something right if it lived that long.
I love that the grass is growing over the logo.
That should be what we should be aspiring to. Like this thing was able to live for how long?
Yeah. Oh my God. Where are these at? What theaters are these? Buffalo, you said?
Rochester, New York.
Okay. Man, the craving.
It's an FCG release.
Oh my God. You know, I wish we hadn't shown the Sentinel so we could show it again.
We could do a best of DIA.
Oh my God. I love the Sentinel so much. I'm going to have to just do it. I already did. Never mind. It might be coming up on the podcast. Just as you can imagine, it's just all the things I really like.
Yeah, there's no reason not to love the Sentinel.
No, it's great.
I don't know why I didn't like it when I was younger.
I think if I saw it when I was younger, I'd be kind of bored. I'm like, I don't care about all this modeling and stuff. Today, that's all I care about.
Yeah.
Like, those things, that stuff's awesome.
I like the ways that they tried to sell these stories as taking place in the real world by showing us
Yeah,
fashion models.
yeah. I don't
That's
need
what
and
makes it real.
I don't need any grounding in the real world. Just give me the fucking shit. Just bring it. A cat gets a birthday party. Oh my god, Bill! What?
The
Uh,
unholy. The
evil
unholy
goes
Ned
over the
Beatty.
edge. Yeah. Hey, evil! You're taking it too far. You. There was a time that you were just fine, but now
Evil
you
goes
go over
over
the
the
edge.
edge tonight.
Tonight, tonight, I'm going to rock you tonight. Man, the unholy. That's a Kiss song. As a
That's
movie.
right.
Yeah.
The
Uh,
unholy. I'm trying to remember how that one
unholy.
goes.
It's like unholy. That's all I know that part of.
There was like,
Yeah, I
after
agree.
they reached the hair metal part of their career, all their songs started to sound the same. Not
Yeah.
for the innocent.
Uh, you haven't got a prayer. Oh, Vestron. Oh, has there ever been a better uh con job for a movie? Really?
Yeah.
I loved it. And the right movies first, because nobody would stick around otherwise.
Well, yeah. I mean, it was sheer genius.
Yeah.
Come in and see this movie. Okay, now get the hell out of here.
Yeah, get out. Honestly, after the first one, you're like, I am exhausted. This movie has like just beat me. And you're like, yeah, well, you can go home.
I like this one too because usually when you see that ad, the heads are separate, but this is the
Yeah.
condensed version where they kind of make it all into one skull.
Yeah, it's a really nice layout. Very helpful to tell you what times they are too.
I like when it's forced to be economical with what they're going to
Yeah.
put up there, so that they come up with these split skull designs. Two great blood horrors. There is no blood in I Eat Your Skin.
No, there isn't.
I'm sorry.
There's a ton, and I drink your blood.
Definitely no skin eating.
Bill, Pamela asked, what year was The Craving? Is that 1981?
85 is when
85.
it came
Wow.
out in the States, but it was from 1981.
That's what I thought. Yeah. And Lee said we should do a Coffin Joe double feature. If you like Coffin Joe, 100% buy the Arrow set because there aren't that many of them. It's super limited and it is awesome. There's actually a Coffin Joe movie I had never seen on it before. Uh, and it's really, really beautiful set. The artwork's incredible on it too. I don't have to sell you on Arrow, I'm sure, if you like
Absolutely
movies,
not.
but that's fucking great. It's everything I wanted it to be. I was like, man, there's so much good stuff in it. So I'm gonna find something else to watch as we go and as we get ready to.
Of course you are. Of
Yeah,
course, 2 movies.
I gotta get.
Well, we only did 1 tonight, so 1 movie.
I'm way behind on the site too, so this FBI week is gonna help. But I'm gonna be adding stuff to the older repeats because I'm trying to find some facts out about how they distributed it, why they had it. Today I watched Bill Kill and Kill Again, which I had never seen. Holy shit, that movie's awesome. It's it's great because it's like, oh, these are the best martial artists in the world, and they're all white, and you're like, don't
Yeah.
think, I don't think this is right. I think feels like this movie's missing something. Um, but
Film
yeah,
fantasy version.
yeah, it's like, but still fun. I'm trying to hunt down a couple of them. I had someone this week on Letterbox send me a Menachem Golan movie that I didn't have that was on an Israeli YouTube site and show me how to get onto the site and get it, which was the coolest thing anyone's done in a while. So
Wow.
it's a Menachem Golan movie I had not seen. Sadly, my favorite podcast ended this week, the Canon. They've decided to stop doing it because they have run out of movies that they want to watch. They're like, the remaining Canon movies are rough. I'm like, yeah, I know, I watched all of them. But
I hope that never happens to us.
no, I think we haven't. They're going to come back and do something that's non-canon related, I think, which will be good. But I think that we have. There's so many movies. This is what all week, and folks still in the chat. is like there's so many people that are, so many times where I'm just like I'll say to Bill something like, "Hey, we should watch this," and oh yeah, let's like we get excited during the week about stuff. Lee said 2024 holds so many movie possibilities, maybe some funny sex comedies like 2069, a sex odyssey too. There you go. I would like to show Wham Bam Thank You Spaceman, which is one of my favorite titles of all time. Just the
I
title.
want to show Space Thing
Oh yes.
because there's so
Uh,
many ads for Space Thing. I swear to God, every time I see Space Thing advertised, it has a unique ad design.
oh, that's a great idea. Then we'll have to. I was gonna say we'll do Driving Asylum After Dark, but it already is after dark,
Yeah,
right? Like, so what are we doing? We'll do like the Playboy version where I have a long microphone like Hugh Hefner used to on that show. Only he and Gene Rayburn got the long microphone. They're the only two people I ever saw that got their own special different microphones than anybody else.
Match Game's still the funniest show on TV,
Oh,
hands down.
dude, the Pluto Match Game channel is the greatest invention ever.
Yeah.
You can just put on that might be what I watch. Just put on Match Game. It'll take you out whatever movie you're in. It's
The people are so stupid on it sometimes, aren't they?
the worst. But I'm not watching it for. As a kid, I was like, I don't want to hear the contestants. Can't we just get rid of the contestants and just have the people like them coming back from commercials and just making fun of each other? That's what I wanted out of just a whole show of that. You know what I mean? Like I don't care. Oh, but what can you do? Tracy said she watched the new Argento documentary. I sent it to Bill, by the way. I think I posted on Facebook. If you follow me on Facebook, there's a new Argento music video too that he did for a rap band in Italy. Who knew? But it's really good, and the Deep Red Doll shows up in it, um, and is walking around, and it's just as creepy now as it was 40 years ago, 50 years ago. So it's cool that he's doing stuff. He has another movie in him. He's working on another movie. Um, I'm all for. I like Dark Glasses a lot, so hopefully more stuff coming from him. You know, Tracy says she's been watching clips of the Gong Show lately. Have you seen the Gong Show movie? Because
Yeah.
holy shit, that thing is
God.
insane. It is crazy. I'm obsessed with stuff like that. Like that movie pretty much went right to HBO, and it's like, and then it disappeared for like 25, 30 years.
Yeah, that's the only reason I saw the Gong Show movie is because
Yeah.
it was on HBO. And why not?
Yeah.
You know, I liked the Gong
Oh.
Show. I watched it for real. So the Gong Show movie.
Yeah, some of these film ventures movies are very much HBO movies to me. Like They Call Me Bruce is one that like I watched that on HBO nonstop. Like it was on an awful lot. Race for the Yankees Zephyr is another one I watched a lot of too.
Oh my God, Vince, the Pink Lady movie. That would be fucking amazing. Pink Lady was awesome.
I was trying to explain the Pink Lady and Jeff to my wife the other night. And she's like, why do you? I said, that's the same time as Super Train. That was like the new NBC where they were just throwing anything they had to try to make stuff stick. And nothing was.
It was like Tony Orlando and Dawn, you know. So there were two Asian ladies and a white dude.
And they would always be in a hot tub at the end of the show. Like that's what I thought my adulthood was gonna be like. I thought it was gonna be that cool.
There was a life out there that was like that, but somehow
somebody else got it. We've lost Bill. There he is.
Only momentarily. You're not rid of me yet.
No, I don't never want to be rid of you.
Next weekend, Jen Upton is going to be here. You see how late it is. And
Spasms and Island Claws. Jen loves, I'm sure she'll bring up, there's a whole series of British books of mutant crabs that take over the world. So I know she's very into that.
Night of the Claw, was that it?
Night of the Claw. Yeah, there's a whole bunch. There's like 7 of them that all came out, man. And I'm super excited.
Well, Island Claws was retitled Night of the Claw when it played on the CBS late movie, which was really the first time anyone ever saw that movie because it never played theatrically. Never.
I'm doing another and this summer I'm going to do another month of CBS late movies because I mean I only got through what, like 100 of them? There's like 1,400 movies to get through.
You could make an
So,
entire career out of doing that
oh,
for the next 5 years.
I should really do just a book on that, like the movies that ran on the CBS late movie, and
Yeah.
it'd be like just reviews of all of them. I'm trying to figure out what else to do. I'm gonna do the Incredibly Strange research book, the movies from that, 'cause that book was a big deal to me when I first started getting into these kind of movies, psychotronic movies or wherever they are.
I can still see the
That's
cover.
oh, with the mask on it.
Yes.
Oh, this would be probably the last thing I say, 'cause I know we're up late, but The Mask was a movie that like haunted me because I could never find it. Back in then, like how would you find it? You know what I mean? Like you had to get it from Video Search in Miami, or you had to know someone that had, or luck into seeing it on TV. And now I have a Blu-ray with 3D glasses of it. It's just down in my basement, and I can watch it whenever. How cool is that? You know what I mean? Like some things are cool. Some things are going pretty well. Not everything else, but I mean that part's good. So Vince has watched 10 movies just Thursday. Wow, that's amazing.
Vince, I think you are probably the one that watches more movies than Sam, maybe, if you're going it that
Probably,
way.
yeah. Yeah. I'm usually like four to six a day. The other day I only watched one and I felt like so sad. I was like, what am I doing with my life?
All right. Well, thanks to everyone for hanging out with us tonight. It was a fantastic show, I think. I had a lot of fun with the Mill of the Stone Women. I still have so many questions, so many things we didn't talk about, but there's only so much time.
I'm going to say before the end of the year, I'd like to watch it again.
Mill of the Stone Women. Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I want to watch that Blu-ray again, because the version that we watched on the internet tonight was nice, but not quite so nice. So
yeah. But and watch it with the Tim Lucas. The answer to that.
Hope you come back next week, hang out with Ben Upton and us, and watch some Nature on a Rampage movies on the Drive-In Asylum double feature. See you then.
Under 17 not admitted without parents or guardian. Under 17 not admitted without parents or guardian.